views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, and welcome to the BronxNet Studios, located right here on the beautiful campus of Lehman College. Each week, our team here at BronxNet, filled with creative students and passionate professionals, shine light on the people, stories, and events through our community. I'm Natalia Quiñones, your host for the day, and I would like to welcome you to this edition of Weekend Review. Hello, and welcome to the Weekend Review. The polar bears of the Bronx made a splash at the 2017 Polar Bear Plunge, where community leaders and members came together to raise money for homeless people by taking a dip in the freezing waters. Reporter Sabrina Vergas has the chilling story.
On a cold day in the middle of February, the brave polar bears of the Bronx took a dip in Orchard Beach waters against homelessness. BronxNet, in collaborations with BronxWorks, came together along with community members, elected officials, and some international friends to create the Bronx Polar Bear Plunge.
I promised last year was the first time that I was here, and I promised that I was going to go in today, so I'm going to do this today. But this is for a wonderful, worthy cause.
This is just a wonderful show of support for our guys who are sleeping on the street every night. I work closely with the outreach team, and we go out and I see clients who are still living under bridges, still living in alleys, trying to find a place to stay warm.
This got started with a conversation that I had with the BronxNet executive director, who happened to mention that they were involved with the Bronx Polar Bears. And so I thought it was a very appropriate way for us to connect with them, given that they're jumping into extremely cold water for just a few seconds, to have that be a reflection and a connection to the plight of the homeless on the streets of New York all winter long. So the 5 seconds that they feel out in the water, myself included, pales in comparison to what the homeless have to go through all winter long.
There's so many homeless right now, and so many homeless men and women veterans coming back from deployment. It's very, very sad.
Many were excited to take the plunge for a great cause, including BronxNet's own Michael Max Nobby and myself. The brisk waters did not stop the polar bears from getting in and understanding what it actually feels like for homeless in the winter cold.
I feel amazing. It was exhilarating, but I'm very cold. But I'm very happy to be here for the cause.
Crew is cold in effect.
It's wonderful. I think it's helpful to be mindful of how lucky and appreciative we are that we have good circumstances and don't have to be living outside in the freezing cold. So I think it's helpful to be mindful of, how fortunate we are and that we should be doing things for others.
It's very touching for everyone to show that they really care about people who are out on the street, 365 days of the year, and us be able to do this one day is just a small comparison of appreciation. So it's just wonderful.
There were many supporters at the plunge, including a snowman representing all the good work the Bronx Polar Bears have done.
The snowman is triumphant because he just took the plunge, the polar dip, and here he is rejoicing and celebrating all his good work.
As the Bronx Polar Bear Plunge against homelessness came to an end, all the participants and their supporters were very happy to be a part of this great cause and are ready for the 2018 plunge.
New York City Fashion Week attracts designers and fashion enthusiasts from all over the world, and our BronxNet cameras got an exclusive look at a young fashion designer making a splash in the Big Apple. Reporter Lizzie Dominguez, tell us more.
As New York Fashion Week takes place, hundreds of designers come to the Big Apple in order to showcase their work. Join me as we look at one specific designer and her collections. Born in the Dominican Republic, Jeanette Limas spent most of her childhood creating pieces from household fabrics. In time, her family realized that she had a passion for fashion, and with that, Jeanette began her journey into the fashion industry. For Jeanette, it is not about creating a garment, it's about using the human body as a canvas, creating pieces that one can adopt as a second skin. She does this through a technique known as draping.
I do everything, always draping on my body. Like I always drape every single piece on my body first. And then I call the model and we do the fitting. The inspiration is always the body, it's always the way we have that silhouette, you know, the waist, our hips. So if you see the dresses are always going around, they're always hugging you.
Throughout the night, 2 collections were presented. The first part of the presentation showcased an array of detailed black and white button-downs. The second was the official Fall 2017 collection, presented under the name Devotion, capturing the hard work and passion that comes with being a young designer.
As a young designer, you have to be devoted. It's hard to have a collection done, everything pattern making, cutting and everything. So the devotion for me was to keep everything on track. You know, keep loving what I love and keep going on. I keep doing this, knowing that it's hard, you know.
As each design made its way down the runway, attendees realized that the collection doesn't just catch your eye, but in fact sculpts the beauty of the human body through clothing.
I thought it was really great. They looked very comfortable. The pieces were very elegant. I loved the green palette of the first set of dresses that came out, and they were really lovely and ready to wear.
I thought it was amazing, and really, I mean, I didn't know very much about the designer. The cuts were beautiful.
The collection was breathtaking. It was beautiful. It was like that good balance with like modernism and elegance, something that a woman can wear to feel comfortable in their skin. It was absolutely beautiful. I loved every piece, every model.
Speaking of models, the women who brought Jeanette's clothing to life felt the inspiration that comes from wearing each piece.
Casting was actually really unique because we all are going on casting throughout Fashion Week, but Jeanette is very personable, and that's something that I really appreciated from her because she treated us with respect. And a lot of the fast-paced world of fashion, she is very genuine and sincere, and she cares about the woman's body, and even just how she designs the clothing.
I met her about a couple of weeks ago to do the fittings, and like she said, she was so sweet, so sincere.
I really appreciate she had a choreographer for the show because a lot of the time, like that's an issue. Like it's so disorganized, people don't know how to walk or how to pose, and they actually ran through it a bunch of times for us, which I really, really appreciated.
With each design stitched from the imagination of Jeanette Limas, we witness the essence and beauty of the female body. This is Lizzie Dominguez for BronxNet.
The Bronx YMCA helps people of all ages overcome obstacles in life. They recently held their annual fundraiser, and reporter Arlene Makoko has the story.
She easily could have become a statistic. At the age of 14, a family tragedy forced her to live on the streets.
I had to leave the home. I became a homeless teen.
Here at the Bronx YMCA's annual fundraiser, Dominique Phillips here at F&J Pine Restaurant shared that at one point she lived with her grandmother and for 3 weeks slept at Port Authority before her life would drastically change.
I found the YMCA like walking by one day. I wanted to work with children. I got a job as a youth counselor, made connections. It was just like family oriented as soon as I walked through the door, and I've been a Y baby ever since.
They would help her get scholarships and go to college, and now, after earning a master's degree and giving back as a special ed teacher, she continues to credit the Y staff in Harlem for her success.
There were people that took me under their wing. There were people that did things that was, not in their job description. They made sure that I went to school. They checked up on me. They made sure that I had a bed and a bag and made sure that I had food.
Rima Izquierdo, a mother of 2 autistic sons, was also there to speak. She shared the challenges in finding a fitness program that suited them both and said she got a big surprise after visiting the Bronx YMCA.
They took my whole family, they welcomed us.
we went in, it was so accepting and loving. The first organization that I've approached that didn't say no.
There to cheer on the organization and make a contribution, State Assemblyman Mark Jonaj, who held the affordability of the program, once housed in the Pelham Bay community and now in the Castle Hill section.
I grew up in a YMCA and I took advantage of the programs back then, and they opened up the doors to me, the options, and gave me the activities that I didn't have available.
Heading the campaign to ensure the organization expands and continues to be a support to the community is Jerry Sciortino, the Board of Managers Chair for the Bronx YMCA.
None of this money is operational. It's our scholarship fund. Every penny of that money goes to families and youth and seniors who need our facility.
To find out more about the history of the Bronx YMCA or to work out, they're located at 2 Castle Hill Avenue and they provide tours. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
Welcome, everybody. We are open. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. You can catch me on there each and every night right after the Quiet Storm. You can catch me right here on Open, 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. Let's just call it on the 10s and then just keep it tuned. And we got you covered like a blanket, okay? I'm out in the community and we're all over the place because we are now open.
Hey, I'm Darren Jaime. I'm the host of Wednesdays Open right here on BronxNet Television, Channel 67, and also on Verizon Files, Channel 33. Want to invite you every Wednesday. You get an opportunity to see what's going on in the world of news, current events, debates, public information. That's what happens here on Open every Wednesday. So we invite you to join us right here on BronxNet Television.
If you want to stay in the know about the latest happenings in Español, check out Diálogo Abierto, BronxNet's own Spanish show, Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. on Channel 67. The latest in news, arts, culture, politics, and what's going on in your neighborhood. Diálogo Abierto, the best way to stay connected in Spanish. See you there. Te esperamos.
Hello, and welcome back to the Weekend Review. The Bronx Democratic Party held their annual networking reception where public officials spoke about getting involved. Reporter Katie Aloy Knight has the story.
Chairman Marcos Crispo and the Bronx Democratic Party host their annual winter networking reception. It's an evening where we will see those that represents the Bronx in Congress, including the state Senate, assembly members, city council members, and the party leaders. Executive Director of the Bronx Democratic Party, Andy Perez, says this is a great time for people to come out and hang out with each other and to learn what the Democratic Party is all about.
We represent basically every elected official here in the Bronx because we have a strong Democratic to Republican ratio, 6-to-1 voter registration. And what we do is not only help elect Bronx Democratic elected leaders, but move forward the Bronx Democratic values that match what's going on in the nation. Obviously, things are getting crazy on the national level, and it trickles down to the local level. So we want to get more people involved, more people to vote, more people engaged, and it starts with the party, and it starts with the community, and it starts with them.
So we're here today, obviously, to celebrate the great work of Assemblymember Crespo, who's brought all of Bronx together. Bronx, quite frankly, is so hot right now, everybody wants to come to the Bronx. But I and the Assembly member and the Borough President, we've got to make sure that Bronx continues to remain affordable for a countless number of Bronxites. I mean, we have a number of issues, but we're really happy that we're in a good space right now. And so I really thank and I congratulate the Bronx Borough President. I thank the county leader. I thank the Speaker. They all hail from the Bronx. There must be something in the water. Congratulations, Bronx.
Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. was among the crowd of Democratic leaders. He says that here in the Bronx, they are working to make sure that the Democratic policies stay intact. Assemblyman Marcos Crispo stood next to him in solidarity.
So I'm Assemblyman Marcos Crispo, Chairman of the Bronx Democratic Party. Happy to be here with so many friends and colleagues
at this winter reception in support of the Bronx Democratic Party. Once again, a lot of friends and supporters coming out to make sure that we have the resources to do the job, to mobilize Democrats across the borough, to fight for our values, to move our agenda forward, and to support candidates who are going to be real to the issues, to the communities they represent, and move us forward.
He continues by encouraging the young people to get involved in the Democratic Party campaigns.
If you are a young person that wants to get involved in politics and advocacy, visit us at bronxdems.org. bronxdems.org. You can find out about our Bronx Young Democrats organization, which is a great network for young professionals. We have a number of events. We organize rallies, we organize outreach, and overall we organize campaigns as well.
As the evening continues with networking, many were talking about some of the issues that is happening in the Bronx community. For BronxNet, I am Katie Loy Knight.
Mi Gente is all about connecting the Bronx to the rest of New York City through music and poetry. Reporter Arlene Mococo, tell us more.
The sounds of Afro-Latin jazz could be heard coming from the Point on Garrison Avenue over the weekend.
Tonight is going to be amazing. We're going to have a wonderful spoken word, two amazing spoken word artists.
Mi Gente, part of Latinx Music Festival founded and created by Darianis Grillon Virgil and Enzo Tavez, was all about celebrating diversity both north of Manhattan and throughout the city.
So the purpose of Mi Gente is to serve as a link between the Bronx community and New York City through culture and music. Also, Mi Gente means my people, in which we want to send a message that we all, as human beings, we have to be united. People from Latin America, people from South America, people from Central America, North America, also with our African American brothers and sisters. So we want to create that connection among all the cultures.
Among all the cultures and age groups, too, Mi Gente opened with spoken word poet and community organizer Henry Gonzalez, who has also performed at the Nuyorican Poets Cafe.
How many homeless veterans in despair, kids arrested for skipped MTA fares, cops harassing lone brothers with no hope and no prayer? How many massacres till we stay scared?
He was followed by this poet.
When you write, write unsettling words.
Acclaimed founder and executive director of the Poet Network Exchange, Lorraine Corelli, has been recognized for providing a voice for the elderly. Underground Systems were up next for their second performance in the Bronx. Here's their leader, Peter Mattson.
The easiest way to describe it musically would be a fusion of Afrobeat and then a lot of New York influences, kind of post-punk, Latin American influences, a lot of things, pretty mixed up, as New York can tend to be sometimes.
And Dominica Fossati is their front woman.
We added our own sound, have a little bit of baila funk, a little bit of Ghanaian Ewe music in there. I sing in Italian, in Spanish, in English, in Yoruba sometimes, depending on the night, you know. And so tonight, because we're in the Bronx, we wanted to bring a little bit of the Bronx vibes and have a bit of rock in there as well. But it's all Afrobeat roots based.
All this is the vision of Enzo Tavez and others here, bringing great talent in to perform in one of the most culturally significant neighborhoods in the Bronx.
So we have a great opportunity right here today to share with the community a show that is about empowerment. It's about women empowerment, but it's also about multicultural.
Mi Gente Latinx Music Festival is held annually. If you'd like more information, you can go to migentenyc.com. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Mococo.
Bronxites are getting an opportunity to explore nature in Pelham Bay Park's Orchard Beach through sea exploration. Let us check it out.
New York City is home to an amazing abundance of wildlife. Today, the Parks Ranger is guiding Bronxites to explore Orchard Beach Nature Center in Pelham Bay Park for seal sightings.
Every time I see they have the event, I try to come out, not only to see the seals again, but to support the Parks Department and their efforts to educate the public.
I'm here today because my friend was telling me about the ranger guided tour, talking about the harbor seals that are in the area. area here at Ocean Beach.
The park's ranger informed the Bronxites all they need to know about seals, including how to spot them. And Joseph was able to spot several seals at Orchard Beach.
We saw several seals out on the rocks. You really needed a binoculars to see them, or the ranger provided a scope that made it like they were very close to you. To know that they were in this area, I never knew that.
If you would like to get more information about events organized by the Parks Department, visit the website nycgovparks.org. For BronxNet, I am Katie Loy Knight.
Community leaders are banding together to support local art and artists. Reporter Arlene Makoko has the story.
Ideas flowed from all directions, this in preparation for the opening of the Bronx Council on the Arts' new headquarters called BCA 2700, due to open at the end of the year.
We're very excited. It's going to service the entire borough of the Bronx.
Inviting business and civic leaders, this meeting marked their first of up to 8 focus group meetings to be held around the borough.
The purpose of today's meeting was to bring in stakeholders. The Parks Department was here, people from the library, Westchester Square, and talk about how the arts needs to be developed to support development and the people in the Bronx.
With over 37,000 visiting the Westchester Square Library on Glebe Avenue, those numbers are increased when you look at school-age children and teens. Patrick Caruso from Community Board 10 says he has 20 schools with an additional 10 after-school programs.
We do a lot of outreach, and we're very proactive in doing things for the kids in the community. And I think having the arts here, come here, is a great asset.
People reach to the arts for creative solutions, and a number of them are already doing this. And so is there a way that BCA could actually help them do their work better?
Also raised the inevitability of gentrification in the Bronx. How will BCA at 2700 fit into a new landscape?
I hope that we can be a support system for the work that's already happening, specifically the cultural work that's already happening, because people have been doing things, so it's not like we're bringing anything to anyone. It's just how do we enhance that? How do we empower that? How do we support that as an organization that has resources that everyday folks may not have?
Also at the meeting, President of the Westchester Square Business Improvement District, Lisa Soren, who talked about the importance of preserving the history of this neighborhood, which dates back to the American Revolution, and Executive Director of BronxNet, Michael Max Nobby, whose studio at Mercy College, located in the Hutchinson Metro Tech Center, has expanded the number of residents producing their own stories, with plans to grow even more in the coming year.
I did not expect to get the depth of information.
Taking it all in was Interim Executive Director of BCA, Barbara Preet.
A lot of them are actually looking for expansion and collaborations, which is why we came here. We're looking for a way to better serve the broader communities of the Bronx, finding out what is going on and what the need is and how we can facilitate that need as the Bronx Council on the Arts. It's like a reach out. Now it's time to soothe the Bronx as it grows, and I think we got that today.
Their next meeting will be later this month in the Soundview Castle Hill section. If you'd like to get more information, you can go to bronxarts.org. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Hello, and welcome back to the Weekend Review. If you missed any part of today's show, be sure to check out all of these stories on bronxnext.org. Fios Channel 33 or Cablevision Channel 67. The Botanical Garden has been celebrating Black History Month with public schools around the Bronx for 15 years. Reporter Sabrina Vargas tells us more.
The Botanical Garden celebrated Black History Month for its 15th year with some public schools around the Bronx. Students learned about African culture through various arts and crafts, storytelling, and an interactive African dance performance.
We bring this program together for the community because some kids are not taught their culture at home, and at least we know that we can bring some form of entertainment and workshops.
Taking an imaginary trip to Africa, the students created African dolls and mimicked art from West Africa during the various workshops. Students were not only excited to learn more about Black History Month, but to also get crafty.
So what we're doing is we're making African dolls because it's African History Month, so we wanted to represent African histories.
They worked hard for kids that are Black to go to school and not be judged of their color.
The students left with lots of new insight about why Black History Month is celebrated and the sacrifices made by the iconic leaders they read about in their history books.
Black people who like risked their lives so that they could get their freedom to do anything they want.
As the event came to an end, the students were very excited and very happy that they learned more about Black History Month through many crafts and through African dance. I'm Sabrina Burgess for BronxNet.
The Paddle Family Alliance is a non-profit organization that allows children the opportunity to learn and play with the pros of paddleball. Reporter Arlene Makoko has the story.
He's telling us that we need to keep the paddle straight so we could hit the paddle right. Hit the ball right.
Meet Vanessa Garaballo, who with a group of about 40 students from PS 138 in the Castle Hill section are taking part in a clinic here at the Bronx Indoor Paddle Club with a legend in the sport.
My love of paddleball goes back many, many years.
Howie Hammer, author of Paddleball, How to Play the Game, is a pioneer in the sport, with his book helping to give language to a game that had its start in the 1950s and 60s and by 1980 would be considered America's fastest growing sport. While interest in corporate sponsorship would eventually diminish in the 1990s, there is a new drive to see that interest return through events like this one by simply sharing the sport with a new generation.
And I've been addicted to the game for, I would say, over 60 years now. It's a game that everyone can play.
Among those appreciating the clinic, Giordani Santana.
Paddleball is a good sport for people. It could, if you're angry, it could make your anger out.
Responsible for coordinating the clinic, Michael Melendez, who also played competitively along with Hammer and is founder and executive director of the Paddleball Family Alliance.
Our objective is to grow the sport of paddleball and at the same time provide the kids with a place where they, keep them off the street, they learn sportsmanship, learn the sports, and mainly have fun.
And now Father Anibal Cruz, who also plays handball, can watch his sons in action.
This is very good for all the kids, and I hope, that more people join this and it become bigger and bigger and we have more.
Zurika Indoor is located just blocks from the 6 train. Their open time is from 12 to 6, Monday through Friday. They also have weekend hours. For more information, you can go to 718-863-1670. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, folks. If you missed any of today's stories, we encourage you to tune in for Open on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m., as well as visit us on the web at bronxnet.org or youtube.com/BronxNet. This is Natalia Quiñones reminding you to stay connected through your channel here on BronxNet.